On today's episode of Watch Chair Go, the electric Geo Metro restoration continues. What is going on, guys? I am Watch Chair Go, and today, like I said, we are here to get a few more things knocked out on my 1996 Solectria Force, or the electric Geo Metro. And then, after all of that is said and done, we're going to take this thing out and do a range test to see how far it'll actually go at this point. It's kind of cold outside, so I'd say it's a good test. It's about 40 degrees today, raining, so we're going to put a little bit of stress on it, running the wipers and the lights. You wouldn't think those things would be a stress on the battery, but they definitely do knock a couple amp hours off, and we'll just see where she ends up. Before we do that though, we gotta fix some things. So in the last video, of course, we got the AC sorted out. That is working great, but I do wanna move over the drive pulley on the AC about 1 millimeter to line up the belt after it runs for a second. I forgot that needs to be on my to-do list for today. We'll do that right now. And then we're gonna move on to the wheels and try to get a few other things working in the car as well. I know it doesn't matter and the thing is driving very well, but I'm gonna go ahead and spin this over just a hair, pop that Allen loose and bump that in so that the belt lines back up on the AC compressor with the old marks. This will be the easiest job I've done in weeks. Just a little touch there on the set screw and a little touch here on the pulley, which is actually kind of hard to do. I had to give it a little persuasion here, but now we should be good to go. So we'll just spin that set screw back down. Give it just a, you don't have to bear down on these things, just give it a little bump and you should be good to go. I've got my favorite Allen wrenches out for this as well. You know, these things, even if one's not installed all the way, it pushes it back into place for you when you close them. So cool. And after running the AC for a couple of seconds, there's no more little shiny witness from where the cog belt used to sit. Now it's lined right back up where it belongs. It's crazy they didn't even bother putting a guard on this. I mean, I get that the hood is the guard, but if people are showing it off and the AC turns on, it's not guarded anymore. I have to put the wheels back on because I've been painting the wheels. You can see they look much better now, and they were really, really hard to get off as well. So I'm gonna sand down the centering rings there on the brakes and put a little grease on there before we remount them. This is the only wheel I didn't get done last night, and I just ran out of time. Now there's a rainstorm outside, so I'm definitely not able to run back out there and finish painting this. So I got 3 of them done. Time to remount those 3 wheels real quick, and we'll be home free as soon as I finish that one. And the hubcap should be back from the body shop. After that, all I have to do is get the Solectria font figured out, get it into Illustrator. I took very precise pictures of the hubcaps with my scale. So I'll throw all the lettering in there, rescale it till it matches exactly. What's really funny is the Solectria logos on the hubcaps were just big silver stickers slapped over the Geo logo. But we're gonna fix that. We're gonna do it properly with decals. So I'm just gonna go remake this text right here, put it back on the hubcaps, get it all centered up, and put it all back together. And the wheels and hubcap situation will be brand new. Getting the wheels off the Solectria was actually a big pain. I don't think they've ever been off, at least in the last 10 years or something like that. So I had to kick them back and forth to get them off. Now, let's go ahead and clean up the centering ring here, and then I'll put a little layer of grease on there, just like I said. We've got our rust cleaned off. We got a little bit of grease on the mating surface there. So it is time to throw our wheels on. That probably won't fit because I moved the jack to the front. All right, there are the painted wheels. They look about 1,000,000 times better than this. And of course, I'll get this one done as soon as the rain stops, honestly. We'll pop that last one off. Over here, I mean, everything's been cleaned up. The suspension's been cleaned up. All the rust has been removed like I showed you guys. So that is much, much better. We'll get back to work in just a moment, but first I need to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video. And you guys probably wouldn't have guessed it, but it's actually in my hand right now. It is Carly, the portable diagnostic scanner that links to your iPhone or Android, and it's so small you can carry it around in your pocket. Now, this will allow you to run diagnostics on your cars. It will allow you to code many vehicles, including BMW, lots of European vehicles. I love Carly, and I carry this around either in my backpack or my pocket because it makes things very easy when you just need to pull the codes really quickly. So let's hook it up to my Jag and see what's wrong with it right now. Good dog. Diagnostic dog right there. One very nice thing about Carly is it is Bluetooth low energy, so you can connect wirelessly to your phone. It's always connected wirelessly to your phone. You don't have to hear the door chime anymore. So let's run the diagnostics on my 03 Jag, and you guys can see just how fast this is. Don't forget, this also even read the codes from my McLaren, which seems to be a tough cookie for a lot of scanners. So diagnostics were complete as fast as I could say that one sentence. So if we click on 3 issues, we can see we need to check the DTC memory of the all-wheel drive ECU. It says also check the coding of ECUs in the data bus powertrain and CAN communication issues. That seems pretty typical for this Jag to me. Anyway, Carly makes it that quick to jump in and see why your check engine light's on and help you diagnose issues. So there you go. Carly is awesome. I actually love using it. And if you want to use it as well, head on over to the link in the description below and use code WATCHJRGO for 15% off today. Huge thank you to Carly for sponsoring today's video and being a continued supporter of automotive creators like me. Now, let's get back to work. We need to sort out the windows. The driver window rolls down about that far and then it becomes incredibly hard. It definitely still moves, but you're forcing it way, way, way too hard. So let's get the door panel off of here, clean the tracks out, and grease all of this. The nice thing about manual windows is nothing ever typically breaks. It just needs a bunch of lubricant after years and years and years. So hopefully this is a quick, easy fix. Let's get this door panel off of the Geo. First, we need to start with the corner. Usually that's pretty simple. Oop, very simple. And now we need to move on to the window crank, which usually just pops off of these. I've replaced a few of these before, and then it looks like there's screws there, and there. So we've got a couple angled pry tools here. Try to get behind there and pop off this window crank. Here we go. Now we may or may not have any luck with this. Everybody has their own way of trying to get these handles off, but a lot of times they break, which is unfortunate. Or you break your tool, one of the two. Broke the rest of the tool, it looks like. Well, I'm not having any luck with the pry tools, so let's try the old throw a rag behind it and give us something to pull on method here. Well, it came off, but it didn't come off correctly, did it? New window cranks are only $5 each. Of course, they were the same on the tracker, so that's very exciting. New ones are on the way, at least the first new set. We'll see if we need any more than that. Of course, on these things, just kind of get under and pry, and eventually you'll get it on the right angle. So just pop that right out. Here comes the second one. I went ahead and got this bottom corner started, but there should be clips all the way around like any door panel, and that seems like that was actually it. 3 clips or something held this whole thing on. So now we'll just give it a little pickup, and she's off. Wow, all the weather seal is actually intact on this car. That is incredible. The speakers aren't blown. Factory tape is actually sitting there in place. I'm gonna have to very carefully peel the weather barrier off here so that we can actually put all of it back. That way this looks nice when it goes back together. Ooh, the locks are also not working very well. So we need to lube up it looks like the lock mechanism. Oh yeah, all that grease is dried up. And then this is one of those X window regulators, so it has a big X inside here, and these 2 rails. Well, one rail, the lower one, is stationary, and this rail is the one that moves up and down. So I'm gonna clean both of these out, get all this old dried up grease out of the track, and this thing should work like it's new. Basically all the projects on this car are just, it's old and needs cleaned back up and relubricated. And it seems like it's all coming back to life just the way it should.
A few minutes later.
Well guys, you know what they say, a little bit of lube goes a long way. And in this case, it was like an hour and a half of lubing. But everything on this car is starting to work correctly again, and I am so excited about that. We'll get back to the driver's door, but there were so many issues. The child locks basically wouldn't move. The doors, the back doors would not open. Now the child locks run nice and smoothly, and I mean, you just got to get all this stuff sorted out so the car works correctly. This door would never work. You always had to lift up on the handle and then yank, and now I still need to clean up a little bit of my grease. I've got a little bit too much on the door striker, and when you get in, obviously your clothes rub on that, so never over lubricate those. I'll wipe it back off here with the rag. Let's see. All the locks work now. The locks were a huge pain point. You could just sit there and go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and eventually it would finally click into place. But now they're all working, and they're all working reliably, just like this. A nice snap. Yeah, and this one too. Everything is sorted now. I am pumped. Now back to the driver door. Of course, the reason we tore all this apart, this window was a huge pain to use. And look at this. Let's see if I can get this out of the way. Oh, I can't do that, can I? All right, well, we'll just roll it down. Look at that, 2 fingers on it the whole way down. I don't have to, I had to like grab it like this before and use all my weight. But there's a lot of lithium in there. I didn't run wheel bearing grease. I know they run like that orange or the red wheel bearing grease normally, but it is all white lithium. I like the white lithium. It's for metal on metal contact, and it's supposed to hold up really well in cold temperatures. It's not supposed to be affected by the temperature. So I don't know whether they do that because it's cheap or what, but I switched greases. So a lot of cleaning, and there's definitely too much grease in there, but I figure with some time, it'll spread around and start to work better and better. But now, oh, also, everything works. That one you'd have to push, and then I could watch the mechanism in here. The mechanism would go into place after I push the latch. And now it all instantly snaps right into where it needs to go, which means it's not a pain to use this car anymore. It's the little things. I promise you guys, it's the little things that make cars drivable. Now our moisture barrier is back, even though it is slightly less pretty. You know, the edges never go back as well as they were from the factory, but that means it's time to hang our door panel here. So, a little bit of wiggling, and that should just drop into place right there. It looks like we're close, or all the way on, and then I'll line up all the tabs and snap it on there. So a couple more seconds and we'll have this back together. Another big project down for this car. I'm excited that it works better than ever. We'll just pop these pieces of trim back in place here. Give the window a good cleaning after. And also, I'm kind of glad that these window cranks broke, because I was gonna do that stupid heat gun trick, and we all know that's the wrong way to do this, honestly. All the plastic comes right back to looking like that after a little bit. So, we'll just punch these little caps back in here, and that's it. We're just waiting on those window cranks that will literally be here tomorrow. And we can move on to detailing, paint correcting this thing, and replacing all the 3M VHB that holds on these side pieces here. So much better. That's how windows are supposed to work. And another fun quick fix, the trunk latch was actually frozen shut when I picked this thing up in Colorado. I wanted to see in, but we couldn't even look at it. I actually think that might be how this key got bent. If you look, there's a taper to it there. And then it was actually a pain to get open here. It took a lot of the, turn the key, and now, throw the key in. Look at that. Perfect. You could shut it from the key. All right, the glass is cleaned up. Everything is back together. We are charging it up so we can take it out and do our range test. But before we take it out for the drive, I wanted to give you guys a chance to decide part of the future of this car. It's what I assume is a factory JVC Single DIN radio in here. It's one of the newer school twin knob radios, so it uses a normal single DIN opening. It doesn't have the two-hole opening in there, at least as far as I know. And it is the size of a double DIN. We know that because I put a double DIN in the Geo tracker. So with this car, do we install a double DIN? I was gonna do the Toto S8 because it is the most fully featured Android running head unit they have. I think that would be really cool. Give you CarPlay, Android Auto, all the cool things that you want in a car. Or do we install an antique that matches this car? This is my Clarion Auto PC 310C, and this runs Windows. I'm not kidding you guys. You can see the Windows button right there on the front. If I remember right, it runs Windows CE. This is number 663. I doubt there were more than 1,000 of these made, and this is very early on in the production run. I've got everything that goes with it. It's a huge install. There are so many modules that have to go in the car. I think it's actually going to pull quite a bit of power, which is unfortunate, but it is very cool. Now, I also wanted to put this in something that mattered to me. because there's not a lot of them left in the world, and I don't think I'll be able to replace it. Yes, I know there's one more on eBay for an outrageous price, and it has all the stuff that goes with it, like dual CD changers, but I have everything else for this one except for the CD changers, and I kind of want to keep it for myself, but I also think it belongs in this car because it's period correct. Super high-tech car, super high-tech head unit, or do we just throw the modern stuff at it and give it all the features? So let me know in the comments below, what head unit are we putting in this car? Either way, we're gonna do a complete install video. This is just a very long install video, I gotta say. Like, the amplifier is not even in here. The amplifier is a totally separate module. This is just the computer. This thing has so many batteries. It literally has an external pack that was, I think, NiCad or nickel metal hydride that keeps this thing alive when the car's off so that it doesn't lose its memory. And then it has another RTC battery inside it, a 2032 in the head unit. It's crazy. So this is a really cool head unit. I kind of want to keep it for myself. At the same time, what am I really going to put it in? So let me know in the comments below. And here we go. Anyway, fire this thing up. We're at about 165 volts. Sorry about the beeping. I know that's annoying. I am going to go ahead and clear the trip. All of it works. It's amazing. Just run into so many broken speedometers, odometers, and stuff like that. All right, we'll shut the radio off. Maximum range here. Although I am going to have to probably turn the wipers on. Hey Siri, close the garage.
Understood. Request sent.
Probably have
Closing
lights on
garage
too,
door.
but for now, we're just gonna skip the lights. Let's go drive. I think maybe this first test we should do city speeds, and then the next test we should probably go do highway, because the highway range is very, very different. In fact, it's absolutely terrible. I'll try to keep this whole mission around 40 mile an hour. And we're off. How many miles will she go? 0.2 so far. We are 3 miles in right now. We've used 5 amp hours so far. I forgot, I don't think I ever posted the video of this thing dying before, but we did take it on a drive until it died. The way it dies is kind of interesting. It doesn't just stop like you'd think electric cars would. Like Teslas tell you, like, stop, battery critically low, stop vehicle or something. This can't do that, and it's also lead acid instead of lithium, so it doesn't just hit like a point and shut off. What it does instead is slow down gradually. So it starts slowing down to like 15 mile an hour, and then 10, and then by the end of it, it'll go 5 mile an hour. So even though you're out of range, technically, the car still moves. It'll get you into a parking lot, which is good. It'll actually get you all the way home. We drove something like 2 full miles with the battery dead last time, and it holding up traffic, it was a nightmare. But yeah, we're 4 miles in now, and we're just gonna drive this thing around until it dies. I think it's gonna die in less than 20 miles. I think it's gonna be about a 20-minute drive, but we'll find out. We're gonna find out together. Now I am just driving 40 mile an hour, like I said. We're definitely not doing anything crazy. Maybe 43 is the fastest we've been this whole trip. So far we've used 12.3 amp hours, and we're 7.3 miles down. So here's some regen for us. And once we get up to the flat here, I'm gonna floor it just so you guys can laugh at the acceleration. You might think, you know, like all the new electric cars, electric car equals fast. Electric car in this case equals worse than the real Geo Metro by leaps and bounds. All right, let's see if it'll keep up with traffic. Light just turned, this guy's taking off. I'm wide open throttle. Yeah, I mean, it'll keep up, barely. We're not even to the speed limit yet. It was wide open for the first 20-30 seconds there. That's all she's got. And then from a 40 roll, we're gonna floor it one more time. Here we go, full throttle. 45. 50! Look, it's entertaining. I got us, it's very entertaining. Hey, now that my window works right, I can fix my mirror. Perfect. Fully manual side mirrors. Takes you way back. It's starting to struggle. I was wide open throttle a second ago climbing a hill, and it didn't really want to do it, but it's still maintaining. So we've used 22 amp hours so far, and we are at 12.8 miles. We're gonna keep driving until it runs out, but I feel like we're close. Heat's off, fans off, I don't have the headlights on still, just the marker lamps, because if I turn the headlamps on, it's gonna hurt. We've gone 16 miles and I just made a right turn, stopped and took off. It's been wide open throttle ever since the turn, and we are now only going 30. So, I know it's a little bit of a hill climb. The voltage is just buried. We've got about 120 volts left. I need to head home. I do want to run it out. We're gonna be holding up traffic. So we're gonna go ahead and make one more right turn, head back to the house, get all the region we can get, wide open throttle again. Stay on. And here in just a minute, we will be back home. At least it's maintaining the neighborhood speed now. It'll go 25 now, and it is slowly climbing. But as it dies here over the next few minutes, we'll lose more and more and more speed. Right now, I'm just coasting downhill. We've used 28 amp hours, almost to 17 miles. It's doing better than I thought. So if you're gonna do city speeds, you'll get 20 plus miles. Okay, really 20 on the dot. And that's, you know, taking it easy. No climate, no radio. I'm sure the radio doesn't really use that much. And if it was in the middle of the day, having the lights off might help a little bit as well. We're gonna keep driving. We're at 17. We'll put another, we'll see. We'll just drive it till it runs out, like I said. It's just kind of one of those things where technically it's out, but we're gonna keep pushing it. Wide open throttle, 15, 20, 25 on the downhill. Okay, we're headed back to my house now. We've done over 20 miles. Well, you know, 20 and change. So it's dead. It is going 15 mile an hour. We're creeping up this hill. It seems like, you know, it's limp home mode. It'll get you home. It's what a great feature. But when you're going 15, you really kind of have to just pull over. Luckily, I just got back into my neighborhood, so I don't have to just pull over. I'll make it home. I know that. We've used 32.72 amp hours, 20.2 miles on the clock, and you can see from the voltmeter that the pack is dead. If I get some regen, we can see 140 volts there again, but back on the throttle, it's dead, and 32.83 amp hours consumed so far. Honestly, it would keep going, probably another mile. I know from experience that the first time we drove it, it made it almost 2 miles in limp home mode, but let's park this thing. I'm done with it. It's dead enough. It's about as dead as it can be. Now just make it up the hill. That's all I care about. You gotta make it up the hill. Wide open throttle. And back on the charger she goes, 33 amp hours total. And honestly, I think the capacity is supposed to be 40. So even if it was perfect, you couldn't go more than 30 miles. All right. That's range test number 1. Performance testing is next. Then we'll send it off to Whistling Diesel for durability testing. Oh, wait, I'm kidding. Well, the range test is slightly disappointing, although it's kind of what I expected. I know the car is supposed to do between 40 and 50 miles in its stock configuration, which is exactly what this is, and it has brand new batteries in it. But as you guys saw, we did just a hair over 20 miles. Now, some of that could have been due to the cold, and we'll test it again as soon as it's a little bit warmer. And also, maybe we'll go do another range test at highway speeds. Maybe we'll just go hold it at 60 and see how far it goes. But if we do that, I'm gonna have to bring a trailer with me. So I already know that there's no getting back once you run out of range on this thing, especially if you head out on the highway. So we got a lot of the car fixed, as you guys saw. Windows, locks, all that stuff works great. Belt back where I wanted it. And I feel like we did even more stuff. I don't know, I cleaned all the windows right next to them. And we'll come back and ceramic coat the car and polish it shortly. Oh, and the wheels, and got a lot done, honestly. Let me know what you guys want to do for the head unit. Tell me in the comments. And that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjargo.com for cool shirts just like this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. This thing's just about recharged. Oh, it charges fast, I gotta say. You can watch the amp hour gauge just take the amps right back off. What's funny is when you drive this car, as you guys saw, the amp hour meter counts up, and as it recharges, it just goes back down to 0. So it literally, the digits come off like it's regen when it's charging. So yeah, already back to 14 and something.